bone-crunching matchup for the coveted gold. Can Mr. Mean beat the odds on the Wall of Death? Will Dar the Star outshine Sweet Stephanie in a hair-pulling punch-out? Plus, oh no, not the devastating Alligator Pit!
Carnival of freewheeling speed and free-falling mayhem, the roller derby is back.
It began in the 1930s and had gone largely unchanged on that familiar banked oval. But just as track and field athletes try always to run faster and jump higher, so it is that skaters demanded a stiffer test. Well, now they'll get it as the old roller derby advances to RollerGames with its figure-8 concourse that introduces a near vertical wall and an elevated jump. What hasn't changed in this sport are the grudges and the grouches, the falls and the brawls, the good guys and the bad. Hello, everyone, with David Sam's Chuck Underwood from the Super Roller Dome, where the skaters of RollerGames International are chomping at the bit for a shot at this brand new concept in a track.
Just wait till you see these skaters take on the 14-foot-high Wall of Death. It could be devastating. In the sky jump, and yes, the live alligator pit used during sudden death overtime. Chuck, that could be devastating.
Well, as witnessed about an hour ago, when the best laid plans of alligators and men went awry. Beneath the bleachers here in the Dome, the reptiles rebelled, they were loose, and in came that one-man security force, David, in that distinctive uniform of his.
Well, no doubt about it. The guy who spotted these giant lizards is the man responsible for them in the first place. There he is right there. They call him Animal, the fearless master of the roller gator. He wasted no time in getting this situation under control. Thank heavens, who knows what could have happened.
Well, the inclusion of the gators in the sport has been controversial, and it has divided the House. But by a 4-2 vote, the teams of RollerGames have chosen to include the reptiles, but only in a sudden death overtime. And we're not yet sure what the ramifications of that will be.
We'll have to wait and see. It's never been used before.
Well, now it's showtime, and here are the high-tech hard bodies of RollerGames.
Introducing first, the world-famous World Champion T-Bird!
19 World Championships in 30 years. This team plays by the rules, and they play hard. That's their owner right there, Bill Griffiths Jr., the T-Bird.
And now, introducing the Violators!
Well, this team can taste that World Championship, so they're after the T-Birds, even if they have to play by their own set of rules. That guy right there is the Skull.
To the track next, the Rockers!
This season, the Rockers are out to prove that they are as good on the track as in the recording studio. And they're managed by their entertainment attorney, the Shark of Century City, DJ.
Introducing the Bad Attitudes!
Here they are, the bad boys and girls of the league. This group of delinquents is out to topple the T-Bird dynasty for good. Georgia Haas leads them to no good. There she is right there.
And now, introducing Hot Flash!
Clearly, the upstarts of the league, these Hollywood hopefuls, are out to prove that they are more than just beautiful. One Valdez Lopez owns and manages them, and he is the ultimate party animal.
And now, introducing the Maniacs!
This group of mercenaries has a score to settle on their own, and they look to astrology for their game plan. Guru Drew is their mystical manager. Boy, Chuck, what a wacko.
Well, I think we'll learn throughout the season that he does not have exclusive rights to Wacko. Well, there they are, the teams of RollerGames International. Again, the Rolls-Royce of the sport for so many years has been the T-Birds, and 5 teams will be shooting at them, David, and of the 5, maybe 2 play by the rules.
Well, 2 that definitely do not play by the rules are the Violators and Bad Attitude, and tonight we'll see Bad Attitude take on the T-Birds in the first game.
Well, from our protected position in the booth, let's now go down to trackside and Shelly Jamison.
Now, the presence of live hungry alligators has some of the rock fans a little bit nervous tonight. I talked to Lita Ford and Deborah Harry earlier, and they were a little bit on edge. I mean, what was snapping gators just a few feet away?
The Commissioner's Cup of this championship series is the apple of everyone's eye, and what you'll see tonight will be 2 semifinal games followed by the championship contest between the 2 semifinal winners. 6 teams began this tournament, but now 2 have been eliminated, Hot Flash and the Maniacs. And referee Don Lastra begins this first semifinal between the red, white, and blue T-Birds and the black-jerseyed Bad Attitude. In this sport, only the guys wearing the helmets can score, and the lead jetter, as they are called, is Dynamite Daryl Davis of the T-Birds, trying to get above those lines. Behind him is the Bulldog Scott Casto. Over the jet jump they come, and they both got 2 on the wall and 2 points on the jump. Now they will fight and brawl and try to pass individual opponents. That's how they then score additional individual points. Monster Man Bernie Jackson in the black is dropped to the rail by Icebox, and Dynamite Daryl Davis passes all 3 additional black jerseys. There's one of them, Scott Casto, and he stops the cycle prematurely by tapping his helmet.
Here's how you score on the Wall of Death. Anything above the top line is 6 points. Anything between the first and the second line is 2 points. But of course, you must take 3 big strides in order to get the score.
Well, perhaps tonight's grudge to watch involves the 2 titans of the league.
No doubt about it, it's going to be the Monster Man, who may try to use a few scare tactics of his own, and the Icebox, who has vowed to use his new deep freeze play. Keep your eyes glued.
In that first scoring cycle, the T-Birds scored 7, Bad Attitude 4, and Bad Attitude's number 6 is Charlie Saunders, a new jetter. Behind him, Speedy Gonzalez, who takes them both down. Remember, each scoring cycle lasts 45 seconds. Gonzalez behind, trying to catch up and pass Charlie Saunders. Ahead of them, teams are blocking both offensively and defensively. There's the Monster Man tying up Speedy Gonzalez. Well, and now helping him to the concrete below. That will clear it up for Charlie Saunders to score points with under 5 seconds left in the cycle. And the whistle stops it, and Saunders scored well for Bad Attitude.
Wait a minute, what's going on? The Monster Man is attacking Dynamite Daryl. I don't believe this. What kind of a matchup is that?
Well, it's 5 feet 4 inches of Dynamite Daryl against the Monster Man, who weighs 220.
Now he's going after little Ralphie Violators, the living legend. Unbelievable.
In for the rescue is the Icebox, but he's now getting the worst of it with the Monster Man.
This guy just won't stop, Chuck. Oh, now he's walking on him.
And it is a day in the life of RollerGames.
What a bully. Here's the starting lineup for Bad Attitude, led by the big bully himself, Monster Man. And the living legend, Ralphie Valladares, leads the T-Bird pack.
For the Monster Man, Bernie Jackson has reason to celebrate. His Bad Attitude scored well in that scoring cycle and now lead the T-Birds 15-11. Dr. Fu in the black helmet is the new jetter for Bad Attitude, and it is BB Blockbuster, Billy Bob Bibas, say that 3 times, leading up the Wall of Death. Can he get 3 steps above the top line? No. Both men get 2 points on the Wall of Death, and by keeping their balance over the jump, they get an additional 2 each. Dr. Fu slamming away at BB Blockbuster. Over the rail he goes, now to try to pass as many individual opponents as possible. Gets tagged by Dynamite Daryl Davis. Monster Man coming up to help. Oh, and he rides Dynamite right off the track, and that's a single point for Dr. Fu as he gets by Dynamite. Can he get around Ralphie for still another point? Nope.
What a hit, Chuck.
The cycle ends, and the score is now Bad Attitude 21 and T-Bird 17 with 52 seconds remaining on our LA Gear scoreboard.
Keep in mind that each period is 5 minutes in length.
And there's one of your favorites, David, the Eye of the Hurricane in this league, Georgia Haas, manager of Bad Attitude.
She hates TV cameras, no doubt about it.
There's the box. 357 rather lovable pounds. His jetter now in what is going to be the final cycle of this first period. Remember, the women are coming up. Will be Ralphie Valladares in the red, white, and blue. And the Monster Man, Bernie Jackson, getting 2 points, as does Ralphie on the wall. And both, yes, get 2 on the jump.
Ralphie Valladares, the living legend. He's earned respect the hard way by playing by the rules.
They both swept by the jetpacks there and scored quick points. They're going to now try to do it again. The Monster Man is trying to ride Ralphie to the outside, but he gets tagged off the track. And the cycle ends.
There is the deep freeze play. There it is. The icebox in his deep freeze. He nailed the Monster Man, and the crowd loves it.
As the first period comes to a close with the icebox in triumph playing to the crowd.
The deep freeze play.
The score in this first semifinal game is 28-27. Bad Attitude leads the T-Birds. And coming up will be the second period of play with the ladies of this sport. We'll be back. Well, here is another look at how we ended the first period with the icebox atop the Monster Man.
No doubt about it. There you have it. The deep freeze play. The icebox is the proverbial immovable object on defense for that T-Bird team.
And then going over to try to rescue her Monster Man, Georgia Haas rolled off the track, lost her glasses, and is only now getting up and returning to the infield.
Probably the biggest mouth in all of roller sports. There she goes again.
It is said that the only tougher hide in the sport belongs to the Alligators.
She hates TV cameramen, especially this one. She belted him twice last season. She hates TV coverage altogether ever since that 66 series when her team was eliminated because of that instant replay.
Well, our guy stands about 6'1", 220, and Haas considers that an even match. She will now watch her women as Bad Attitude begins this period with a 1-point lead on the T-Birds.
Now the fun begins.
The lead jetter is Gina Gogo Gonzalez of the T-Birds, and behind her is the Brat, Lyle Morse. 6 points for Gonzalez on the wall, only 2 for the Brat, and they both get 2 on the jet jump. Now the jousting, and off goes the Brat, and that will open the door, or should have, for Gonzalez to score individual points. But the rear blocker, who is so important in this game, that's Patsy Delgado, number 1, is preventing Gina from scoring any points. So Gonzalez will try again, and remember, she's working against that clock. 3 seconds, 2 seconds left, and electric Randy Whitman comes up, clears out Delgado, and that enables Gogo to score an additional single point.
Looks like we have a cat fight out there, Chuck.
Well, lest you thought that this sort of violence was the property only of the men of roller games, take a look.
There goes Skinny Minnie after Patsy Delgado of Bad Attitude. Oh, boy, Chuck, did she ever belt her a good one.
Well, before this fury began, the T-Birds took a lead of 36-32, and there is their lineup. Look at the name at the bottom, Christine Van Galder. Therein lies a story. In a moment, we'll tell you about she and twin sister, Jennifer Van Galder. New jetters for both teams. It will be the corker, Debbie McCorkle of the T-Birds wearing the helmet, and Margaret Hot Rod Christopher of Bad Attitude, but not before we conclude this.
Get over there. And you, Haas, you just stay with your team.
No doubt about it, Chuck. She hates the T-Birds ever since they would not give her a starting position in 1960.
A double whip for Debbie McCorkle, who on a bad ankle cannot make the wall of death. Meanwhile, 6 points for that woman, Hot Rod Christopher, who loses her jetter's helmet. Behind her is Debbie McCorkle, whose right ankle should be in a cast, but she said no, she wanted to skate. Now you see Hot Rod trying to get past rear blocker Skinny Minnie, Gwen Miller. Up comes Patsy Delgado to help, and she does. And now Hot Rod will coattail behind Delgado. Only a few seconds left in the cycle. Delgado clears them out. Hot Rod scores her individual points, and the cycle concludes, and it was a good one for Bad Attitude, as you see some of the faces in the crowd here in the Dome.
Here is the starting lineup for the Bad Attitude women. Keep an eye tonight on Patsy Delgado, the Latin Spitfire,
who has helped Bad Attitude now to a 44-38 lead.
Here they are, the T-Bird twins, Jennifer and Christine Van Galder. You'll be hearing a lot about them. Both are equally skilled as power guards and jetters. And you know, Chuck, the interesting thing is when one gets belted, the other feels the pain.
New jetters for both teams. It will be Skinny Mini, J.Miller getting a double whip from teammates. Heading up to the wall of death behind her, the Latin Spitfire. Patsy Delgado, 6 points for Skinny Mini on the wall, only 2 for Delgado. They both get 2 on the jump.
Keep in mind that each scoring cycle is 45 seconds in length. Normally, you get about 4 or 5 cycles in each 5-minute period.
Debbie McCorkle was trying to rear block Delgado, but she's ridden off the track. Delgado now behind Marnie Smith and now passing her, scoring points as she passes each of the red, white, and blue individuals. The final target will be Electric Randy Whitman, number 4. Can Delgado get around her? No, with time running out in the cycle.
The winner of this game will go on to the big championship game later tonight.
The count on our LA Gear scoreboard, 50-47. Bad Attitude leads the T-Birds with time left for only 1 more cycle, but always time for this.
Here we go again. That's Electric Randy right there.
And that long, gorgeous hair usually becomes a detriment when you're in a scuffle.
Being helped up by one of the T-Bird twins and Skinny Mini.
We're going to show you how mean we are, Buster.
Meanwhile, on the infield, Bill Griffiths Jr. of the T-Birds on your left.
Boy, did she ever give him a good right belt.
All right, Griffiths. Get it, there you go. Griffiths really going to get it.
I have heard
Get
it.
on your own side of the track.
You better keep an eye on that fighting, or they're going to be...
Get over there. We'll have a $1,000 fine.
Bill Jr. asking for help. Clearly he needs it.
No doubt about it.
Final cycle, a double whip for Electric Randy Whitman, heading to the wall of death with an 80-degree pitch to it.
She makes it look so easy.
But then both she and the Latin Spitfire go down on the jump, so no points because they fell.
Tough break.
Now for the jousting. Individual points important, and Delgado leaves the track. That clears it for this woman, Electric Randy. Can she pass black jerseys and score individual points? Skinny Mini clearing a path with a high hit, and those are points for Electric Randy. Time running out in the cycle, but enough time to add a little mustard to the sandwich by decking the Latin Spitfire. And coming back as we look at the final scoreboard tally, the T-Birds have come from behind to defeat Bad Attitude in this championship series semifinal. 53-52, the T-Birds advance.
The T-Birds are going to the championship. Uh-oh! There's Georgia Haas once again. I think she's a little upset over this defeat.
Gracious loser? No.
Come on, Georgia! Add some respect to this worldwide audience of millions.
Eyeglasses,
disgusting.
flying again. Hair pulling. Don Lastra separates them for a moment, but back they come.
No doubt about it. Georgia Haas is responsible for this feud out there. Oh, boy! Did Skinny Mini ever get her again?
So Georgia Haas is losing her personal battles. Her team has lost in its semifinal battle against the T-Birds. They move on to the championship game. Let's go to the infield and Shelley.
It was a rough game, but congratulations, you advanced into the championship round.
It was a big win. We tried very hard. The team stuck together like we always should.
We gave it all we could. You really fought. It looked nasty out there.
It was nasty. That's just one grapevine that we'll have to climb. We're still working towards the championship.
And we're going to get it.
We're going to get it. We're going all the way. We're coming from behind, but we're going to go all the way to the top.
That's right. Good luck. Men and women of the Thunderbirds really worked hard, and they deserve that win. Back to you, Chuck and David.
Well, Shelley, they also deserve a deep breath, and they'll get it now as they watch the other semifinal and wait for the winner. Again, the T-Birds have taken Bad Attitude 53-52. Next up will be the match between the Rockers and the Violators, with the winners meeting to decide the Commissioner's Cup. And we'll have Wally George at Roller Sports Central.
That's right, Chuck. Stay tuned.
Wally George here at Roller Sports Central. Well, you just saw Bad Attitude lose to the T-Birds. Let's go live now to the Super Roller Dome and Georgia Haas. Well, George, it looks like the T-Birds gave you an attitude adjustment that you won't soon forget. How are you dealing with this humiliating defeat in front of a worldwide audience of millions? Looks like you've been out-coached, Georgia.
First of all, what's your name? The name is Ms. Georgia Haas to you. Outcoached? I am never outcoached. The T-Birds won that game strictly because they cheated as usual. They're always cheated, but I'm not worried because there's plenty of time left in this series, and I have one big surprise for that Rob Violators and those stupid T-Bird twins. And my Alligators will be in the
enough of
infield.
your Alligators, all that stupid stuff. You're out of here. Now let's go back to the Super Roller Dome.
And the merry chase for the Commissioner's Cup continues here in the Super Roller Dome. The championship series began with all 6 teams of RollerGames, but now 3 have been eliminated. Earlier tonight, the T-Birds won their semifinal and will now watch the other semi between the Rockers and the Violators. And speaking of the Rockers, through the tunnel, here they come.
Rock and roll is not dead. It's alive and well on the RollerGames Super Concourse.
And there is the Rockers entertainment attorney, DJ Torigno.
From Century City she came, a walking injunction against any opponent of the Rockers.
The Rockers, as you can see, are very fashion-forward. Say they don't need a manager. They're more concerned with making it as rock and roll stars, especially the woman with the long blonde hair.
Oh, she's a beauty, Chuck.
Dar the Star. Not only lead skater, but also lead singer. Here's Shelly Jamison.
Now, I just checked on the Alligators, and their muscle-bound handler, Animal, has everything under control. Now, the only way we'll see these massive reptiles is in the event of a sudden death playoff. If that happens, Animal will bring them out. The rest is up to fate and strength.
Well, the Rockers' target tonight will be one of the more diabolical teams in RollerGames, the Violators.
No doubt about it, Chuck. This is definitely the meanest team in all the league.
Led by their manager, Skull.
Formerly a bodyguard to Ms. Georgia Haas, the Skull is now general manager of the Violators.
It is a team that writes its own rules, David, but they back it up with really some of the better skating in the league.
No doubt about it. Skull has patterned this team after his favorite footballers, the Oakland Raiders, who seem to win games by pure intimidation.
Well, the Violators, unlike most teams that take a good, brisk warm-up lap to stretch the muscles, prefer the ceremonial chant, as well as some mugging with the crowd, few of whom support them.
There are 2 players to look out for on this team. One of them is Mr. Mean himself. There he is right there. This guy is a 19-year veteran. With each passing season, he gets more sadistic and brutal. The 1970 Rookie of the Year. And, of course, when the women skate, it's this woman to keep your eyes on, that sweet Stephanie.
Said to sprinkle gunpowder on her cereal, and the lightning bolt is so reflective of the way she skates, and it will be the women skating this first period. In the red helmet, for the Rockers, it will be Deadly Debbie Van Dorn, and in the black helmet, the Flea, 4 feet 11-inch Paula Wilson, trailing Van Dorn, who goes down and so loses points, while the Flea gets 2 on the wall. Both women get 2 on the jet jump. Now to pass those individual opponents and pick up the individual points. The Flea trying to get around Lady D, Donna Young, and doing so and scoring a point. Remember, they have 2 opponents, these jetters, not only the other team, but also that 45-second clock. Debbie Van Dorn with the whip from Dar the Star, passes all black jerseys, and so stops the cycle. But because she fell at the wall of death, the Violators lead the Rockers on the LA Gear scoreboard 6-5 as the Flea on your right jaws with Deadly Debbie.
And now let's take a look at the Rockers lineup, led by Dar the Star, the former T-Bird.
Balanced skating on this team. Queenie Cromie, Deadly Debbie Van Dorn, very good jetters. It is a team that can strike from several different points.
And it's this woman right here that is responsible for getting Dar the Star away from the T-Birds.
Stopped in her tracks by the Skull.
Hey, don't touch me, buddy. Get in the book.
Oftentimes as much action on the infield as on the track itself. New jetters now for both teams. In the black helmet, it will be their sweet Stephanie Garcia, and trailing her, it will be Queenie Cromie. Second cycle of this first period for the women. The Violators and the Rockers. This is the semifinal of this Commissioner's Cup Championship Series. And there goes Queenie climbing for the wall of death. Sweet Stephanie right behind. Both ladies got 2 on the wall of death. They're going to give 2 to Queenie, even though she fell. They say she kept her balance long enough. They also get 2 on the jet jump. Now Sweet Stephanie tries to make her way through those leopard skin opponents. And keep in mind that she must beat that 45-second clock. She's now going to take some time to slow down Queenie and prevent her from scoring. And now she moves out on her own. That's Lady D, Donna Young going down. And Sweet Stephanie once more. And Lolly Waterman takes a hit. 2 seconds left, and with 1 second left, she is unable to get past Dar the Star. But another good cycle for the Violators. They lead the Rockers 13-9 as Dar the Star meets Sweet Stephanie with referee Paul Gallegos in the middle.
Sweet Stephanie not too happy about that call. Here's the Violators starting lineup for the women. Sweet Stephanie leads it off. Holly the Flea.
And even Nasty Nancy Wilkinson is a good jetter herself. Should be a good match between the women of these teams. Remember, the next period will show the men. There is Nasty Nancy Wilkinson. She gets 2 points in this new cycle. Deadly Debbie Van Doren is jetting again for her Rockers, and she gets 2. Rear blockers, there's the Flea, Paula Wilson dropping Deadly Debbie. Lady D slowing down Nasty Nancy. And in a big way, as Nasty Nancy heads for the concrete. And the cycle ends, and again, the Violators are able to protect their lead. They lead the Rockers 17-13.
Just a reminder, the winner of this game will take on the T-Birds in the big championship coming up next.
The Commissioner's Cup is the spoils of this championship series. Meanwhile, the Flea, Paula Wilson, giving no ground, despite the fact that she is under 5 feet. Paul Gallegos ordering her to the infield. Meanwhile, new jetters for both teams. In this, what will be the final cycle of the women's period, Dar the Star will be jetting for her Rockers, and Sweet Stephanie, the best of the women of the Violators, will be wearing the black helmet. In this first lap around, the goal of the jetters is to get through the jetpack of each team and then head up to the wall of death. Dar the Star, 2 points. Sweet Stephanie likewise on the wall. And they keep their balance coming across the jump, so they both get 2, and then they lose their balance. And the jetters have, at least for the moment, dismissed thoughts of scoring, but now Dar the Star is back up. Sweet Stephanie is slowed. Can Dar score some individual points? Her Rockers need 4 points in a hurry. Clock counting down in this final cycle of the period. The men, remember, coming up next. Sweet Stephanie now without her helmet, back in it, trying to pass Lady D and get points there. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, and down goes Stephanie.
That was a hard hit. And there's the victorious Dar the Star. The audience loves her, and she loves them.
Ooh, I love my rock and roll. I love my team. We've got great teamwork. I think we play better than we skate better than we look, and I think we look pretty darn tough.
Well, Dar and her Rockers needed 4 points to tie the score, and they got them. Tied at 21 with the Violators, whose team leader, Sweet Stephanie, is still trying to recover from that fall beneath the rail and onto the concrete. And perhaps when she arrives back at the rail, yep, she's got Dar the Star waiting for her.
Get her, Steph. Get her, Steph.
Sweet Stephanie, meanwhile, is having just a rotten day. Thank you. Meanwhile, celebration by the Rockers. The women are going to turn it over to the men, tied at 21 when we come into this next period of play. Well, she recovers quickly, doesn't she? Another look at Sweet Stephanie taking a powder. Are we all saying ouch together? The Rockers and Violators are tied at 21 in this championship series. Before the men conclude this semifinal contest, let's take a closer look at the high-decibel world of the Rockers.
Rock and roll will never die. Not if the Rockers say about it? These rockin' rebels play hard and loose, and to them, life in the fast lane is not fast enough. The street is their beat, the stage is their rage, and they are shooting straight to the top of the roller game charts. Bound for fame, bound for glory, and that is only part of their story. Millions of fans know what team they are going to root for.
I love the Rockers.
They're exciting.
They're the best.
It's an art form. I like the uniforms.
They sing the truth.
I'll always be with them.
These rockers like their music three ways: loud, louder, and loudest. And they practice what they screech. Protecting her team from the slings and the arrows of outrageous misfortune is the entertainment attorney who put the all in the law, DJ Torino.
Let me just say this. These people are not just professional roller skaters. These people are rock and roll musicians. These people are artists.
The Rockers, the team that turns it up all the way.
Back in the Super Roller Dome, it's the Violators and the Rockers' last period of this semifinal game. The winner will meet the T-Birds for the Commissioner's Cup. And jetting will be Rockin' Ray Robles. For the Rockers, he'll be in the red and white striped helmet. And Bob Sendejas, Shifty, in the black helmet for the Violators. Both getting whips from teammates and heading up to the wall of death. Two good skaters. Let's see how they do. That Shifty Sendejas. He did not get 3 steps above the top line. Only 2 points for him. The full 6 for Rockin' Ray Robles.
I don't know, Chuck. It looks as though the ref called it the other way.
You're right. The referee has reversed the call, giving Robles only 2 and Shifty 6.
That's why they need instant replay in this game.
There's Robles getting help from the California Kid, who sends the killer Greg Robertson over the rail, and now is claiming more victims, and with 3 seconds left, trying to rip his jetter past Mr. Mean Harold Jackson, but he doesn't do it.
Here's a look at the Rockers' starting lineup. We have Mike Flanagan, who's known as the California Kid, Rockin' Ray Robles, and Brian Jacobson, the potential Rookie of the Year candidate. And Chuck, he is definitely a favorite amongst the women.
But the skater there was Rockin' Ray Robles. Still upset that the referee, I think, inaccurately reversed that wall of death point.
Who was that?
Which gives the Violators a lead of 29-28. There's our first dispute involving a referee's call.
Well, I definitely think that the Rockers got ripped off, but I'll tell you, it's no surprise to me. Every time these Violators are out there on that floor, something weird happens.
In the black, it is Tony Trujillo, the enforcer, the only one trying the jetway, as Ollie Masterson, the wild man for the Rockers, gets tied up on the main course. That'll happen every now and then. Trujillo is taking no prisoners as he scores big points this time. And there's Robles still upset with a block that is called the Screamer.
Oh my goodness.
The enforcer is down. Robles is hot. Mr. Mean comes in to rescue the enforcer. Out comes the Skull onto the track, and whistles are sounding everywhere.
Let's take another look at that Screamer play. As you can see, it can be devastating.
37-28 as the Violators jump from what was just a 1-point lead to an enormous 9-pointer now.
Let's now take a look at the Violators starting lineup. Of course, right there, number 1, Mr. Mean. He's a supremely talented skater and can rack up points like a demon. And tonight, he's on another one of his mean streaks, no doubt about it.
He'll now be the jetter for the Violators as you see some of the routine faces in the crowd here at the Super Roller Dome. A bad whip, and down goes Mr. Mean. He'll try to catch up because Rockin' Ray Robles also went down. No points. They were too low on the wall of death. They will do little more than limp over the jet jump and get 2 points each. Rockers need 9 points. Mr. Mean on the move as Robles is not. looking for blocking and creating some of his own. Getting around all those leopard skins and scoring individual points. And because Robles is so far behind, you're looking at a rarity. A second pass at the jetway. 2 points on the wall for Mr. Mean, now 2 on the jump. And the Violators are really widening the gap with this cycle. 10 seconds left in the cycle. 45-second long, remember. And Mr. Mean is pounding away on the Rockers, who at the moment are badly outmatched, and the cycle ends. And the Violators up the count now to 47-30 and look to be in control of reaching the upcoming championship game with the T-Birds.
But of course, this game could be close, because once you go on that wall of death, you can get 6. And once you hit that sky jump, you can get 6. And they could tie it up. And you know what that means, Chuck? That means that we could go to sudden death overtime. And guess what happens? That's when they bring on the Gators.
Well, and on that point of contention, David spoke earlier with the guardian of the Gators.
Animal, you're responsible for the Alligators. Why all the commotion?
Well, frankly, I don't understand what all this controversy is all about. Everybody's trying to make this creature into man-eating, vicious beasts, which they're not.
Should the Alligators go, or should they stay?
Of course they should stay. You know, they belong to the sport. They belong in there, and they got just as much to do with the sport as the players and everything else. They're part of the show. Of course they should stay.
Well, with only 1 cycle to go, the LA Gear scoreboard paints a rather woeful picture for the Rockers, who trail the Violators by 17, and they have 45 seconds left to try to make it up. In the black helmet, it's the enforcer, Tony Trujillo, going down quickly in just the warm-up lap, if you will. There's Rockin' Ray Robles heading for the wall of death. He only got 1 step above that top line, so he gets 2 points, but he gets 6 on the jump for distance. He's made up 8 of those 17 points. The enforcer, meanwhile, trying to get back into it for the Violators.
Don't give up in this Rocker team. They've demonstrated many times before that they're the ideal come-from-behind team, and they can strike back.
There's the California Kid clearing the path for his jetter, Ray Robles, taking 1, and now 2 players down. Individual points for Robles as he passes those black jerseys, but he can't get around Mr. Mean as the cycle ends and the game ends.
What's this? Come on! There's Mr. Mean once again. That sadistic barbarian.
These are metal studs that he is trying to carve into the forehead of Robles, who now makes a comeback.
Get him, Rockin' Ray! Mr. Mean deserves every bit of that. Oh, now he's going to give him a good spanking.
He's undressed Mr. Mean, removing Mr. Mean's belt, and is now using it on him. And if Mr. Mean survives this, he and his Violators are going to come right back in a few minutes and face the T-Birds for the Commissioner's Cup.
I think that they should give the Rockers some bonus points for that one. It'll be the Violators taking on the T-Birds in the big championship game coming up next.
We are in the Super Roller Dome. The semifinals are complete, and the survivors, although Mr. Mean might argue the point, are his Violators and the T-Birds.
The Rockers were cheated!
But the Rockers head to the locker room. The Violators stay on the track for the championship game in which they will meet the T-Birds. And that finale will match up Mr. Mean and the Icebox. And for the ladies, Sweet Stephanie and Electric Randy.
Rocking with RollerGames. RollerGames.
I can't believe this alligator controversy. It has totally gotten out of hand. Ms. Georgia Haas, what are you up to? This is absolutely crazy. What's next? Donald Trump as president? Jeff, give me some entertainment.
Here now is DC Getchell with this sports theme song.
championship between the T-Birds and Violators. Stay with us.
The hour has arrived. The T-Birds and the Violators will now meet for the championship of the Commissioner's Cup Series before a full house here in the Super Roller Dome that includes the fan club of the Violators. Returning to the track now through the smoke-filled tunnel will be the world champion T-Birds, world champions in 19 of their 30 years. And as they file onto the figure 8 concourse, let's take a closer look at this very special team.
The fabulous Thunderbirds, they are America's team. Not just a superb collection of athletes, the T-Birds are more, much more, and they know it.
Hey, who are we? Yeah, tell them, Coach. What are we? World champions. Tell them, Coach. What are we going to do? Jump out of the airplane. That's right, jump out of an airplane. Son, we have no parachute for you.
No sweat, Coach.
To this team, nothing is impossible. These proud birds dare to win, to boldly go where no sports franchise has gone before. The sky's the limit for these champions. On and off the track, their teamwork soars, taking them to new heights of competition. The T-Birds, #1 for good reason.
Hey, all you guys. What's taking so long?
The T-Birds have enjoyed enormous popularity, not only in this country, but around the world where they have taken this sport. They are beloved in any corner of the globe. And here now is the team that would have their heads, the unruly, defiant Violators. Excellent skaters, write their own rules, and they are led by the Skull. And let's take a look at their savage world.
The Violators are hell on wheels, part savage biker, part caveman, all fierce competitor. The Violators are more than a team, they are a tribe, and the only thing they love more than their bikes is inflicting pain. There are some things that Violators won't do, only nobody has found out what it is. They romp and they stomp, they savage and they ravage, they'll do anything to win. Their keeper is Skull, the Cranium Commander. He only answers to one god, Gamba, the all-powerful.
Remember, we're the Violators. We're the ones that give Freddy nightmares. Ah!
Well, the crowd says thumbs down to the Skull and to his Violators, but they are excellent skaters, among the better teams in the league.
The Skull, of course, the biggest menace in the league, along with his #1 player, Mr. Mean.
And Mr. Mean will be jetting for his team in this first period. Remember, the men skate the first and the fourth periods, the women the second and third. Only the jetters, the guys in the helmets, can score points.
Each period is 5 minutes in length, and there are usually 4 or 5 scoring cycles in each period.
And they are 45-second long scoring cycles, and Mr. Mean is the lead jetter. And because he and Speedy Gonzalez get above only that bottom line on the wall, they get just 2 points. They also get 2 on the jump, after which Gonzalez hits the deck, and that clears the way for Mr. Mean to try to get individual points by passing individual opponents. He's now waiting for the blocking to line up. He's trying to get around the 357 pounds of the icebox. Tony Trujillo, the enforcer, will give help with the low blow. Mr. Mean comes along with a high shot, and he passes Dynamite Daryl Davis and gets a point, and another T-Bird. Can, with 2 seconds left, he get around Ralphie Valadares? No. The cycle ends with a stranglehold on little Ralphie, who lists his age only as something something.
Let's take a look at the T-Bird lineup. Of course, #8, Ralphie Valadares, the living legend. Chuck, this year, he should be inducted, the first inductee into the Roller Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, back to the Boys Will Be Boys department. Mr. Mean, Icebox, Ralphie Valadares, Shifty Bob Sendejas. Pick your man, they're all involved.
And this crowd doesn't think much of Mr. Mean, especially when he goes after the Icebox. Oh, what was that? low blow. Now he's taking on referee Don Lastra, the Mr. Clean of the sport. Although I'll tell you, I don't see too much clean sport out there tonight.
Well, Mr. Mean is a bit of an unbroken stallion.
Let me make a wish.
Good one, Bill. That's Bill Griffiths taking on the Skull. Bill Griffiths Jr., of course, is the son of League Commissioner Bill Griffiths Sr.
There are your two new jetters, Shifty Bob Sendejas in the black. Behind him, Speedy Gonzalez. The first lap, a whip unintentionally by an opposing player. No, it looked like 6 points, but Speedy Gonzalez only got 2 of the 3 necessary steps above that top mark. But then coming over the jump, he got 6 points, goes underneath an opponent who collides with one of his teammates, and it is broken loose. That is Shifty Bob Sendejas, who hit the deck hard, and now Speedy is being mauled by the guy they call the Killer, and down goes Shamu.
That was about a 7 on the Richter scale. The icebox right there.
One more milkshake in that guy, and Congress is going to declare him a national park. He's okay.
You're watching the RollerGames Commissioner's Cup Championship for those viewers who have just joined us around the world.
13-11 is the score after 2 cycles in this opening period. The T-Birds lead the Violators. Now their very athletic jetter for the Violators is the Killer Greg Robertson. Tremendous physical specimen. 2 points for him, and below him, Billy Bob Bibbas did not even get the 2. They both get 2 on the jet jump. And there goes Billy Bob almost joining us in the booth. That really clears the path for the Killer. Billy Bob is not even yet back on the track, just trying to get there. There's the Killer passing opponents ahead, kicking Billy Bob right off the track again. A whip from the enforcer, Tony Trujillo. Ralphie Valadares sends Mr. Mean into his own teammate, and the cycle ends with that collision among Violators. That's the Killer down.
You're watching the 2 rivals of the league. The T-Birds and the Violators are right there as Mr. Mean taking on Ralphie Valadares in the icebox.
Mr. Mean is a 19-year veteran. He knows how far he can push these officials. He has been through the loop.
I'd like to see the icebox give Mr. Mean the deep freeze play. That would really give him a cold spell and end his mean streak once and for all. There he is, 357 pounds, the icebox. At one time, Chuck, he actually won a hamburger eating contest. How many burgers did he eat at one time? 27?
The box in one sitting rivaled down 24 Big Macs.
Oh, so I was off by 2 or 3.
Made
so
the local newspapers for it. You're now watching the Bill Hook Reed pass the pile and scoring points, and lots of them, because the jetter for the T-Birds got tied up and never even made the jetway. It becomes a staggering good cycle, not for Ralphie Valadares and his team, but for the Violators, the result of which is that 12-point spread in favor of the Violators, and that ends the period. And next up will be the ladies of the T-Birds and Violators. This is the end of the first period of the championship game.
This is the RollerGames Power Play of the Week. We focus our isolated camera on the moves of Mr. Mean, Harold Jackson.
All right.
Wheeling back into position.
That's the way to do it.
And jetting is going to be Kahuna, Jerry Reese in the red helmet. Mr. Mean will remain the jetter for this cycle. It gets a triple whip.
A strong whip.
That means speed.
Whoa!
Now this.
And you are looking at the gold at the end of the rainbow of this championship series, the Commissioner's Cup, which in only a few moments will go either to the Violators or the T-Birds. And after the first period, the men of the Violators have spotted their women with a 27-15 lead. Period 2 belongs to the ladies, and a new 45-second scoring cycle begins with Skinny Minnie Miller in the red, white, and blue jetting for the T-Birds, and sweet Stephanie Garcia lead jetting up the wall of death for the Violators. There she goes. And down she comes, crashing and burning, and so she'll get no points. Skinny Minnie Miller gets 2 on the wall, 2 on the jump, leapfrogs the flea. Paula Wilson gets a whip from Electric Randy, goes underneath Lauren Hollywell, around Nancy Wilkinson, and stops the cycle by tapping her head, and that keeps Sweet Stephanie from scoring any points. Nice cycle for the Birds.
There's a beauty shot for you. Skinny Minnie coming off that jump after scoring 7 points in that cycle.
And that tightens the count to 27 to 22. Violators still lead, and Sweet Stephanie is still mad.
Come on.
Skinny Minnie cartwheels over the rail and is going to stay down for a second, thank you.
What kind of reward is that for a great cycle?
Now Don Lastra has to read the act to Stephanie, who reads it back in return.
Give her a penalty. Throw her into the penalty pod.
That lightning bolt is the logo of the Violators, and Sweet Stephanie allows only her face to wear it. The Skull also gets a lecture. He's disgusted.
Referee Don Lastra has his hands full tonight because this Violator team, led by Sweet Stephanie, is at their meanest.
27 to 22 Violators, and the Violators' new jetter is going to be the flea Paula Wilson, all 4 feet 11 of her. And the corker, Debbie McCorkle, in the red, white, and blue and the red helmet, will be jetting. Remember, McCorkle has a bad, actually broken right ankle. How will she handle the wall of death?
Nice whip there by the T-Bird twins.
She gets 2 points on the wall, as does the flea, but then goes down, perhaps because of that right ankle, coming across the jump, and that opens it up for that woman, the flea. She'll try to get around Skinny Minnie, and Skinny Minnie, of course, as the rear blocker, will try to prevent that to keep the flea from scoring points. Remember, there are 2 opponents out there for the jetters, the other team and that 45-second clock. Skinny Minnie clears out 2 black jerseys. There's the flea decking Christine Van Galder, now going for the other twin, and down goes Jennifer. And the cycle ends, and this one has been a good one for the ladies in black.
Now here's the T-Bird starting lineup for the ladies. Now keep an eye on Electric Randy, number 4. Tonight she faces her archenemy, of course, that is Sweet Stephanie. And Chuck, there's nothing too sweet about that woman right there.
Well, she's a 2-time national speed skating champion, but who in competition would be crazy enough to try to pass her? Nasty Nancy Wilkinson in the black is the lead jetter for the Violators. Behind her is Gina Go-Go Gonzalez, and they both get 2 on the wall. And now head for the jump, and by keeping their balance, they automatically get 2 more apiece. 38 to 28 is the count. Violators lead, and they lose their jetter. And now the T-Bird jetter Gonzalez goes down, and she's facing a mean rear blocker in Sweet Stephanie Garcia. Can she get around her before this cycle clock ends? A left hook so that Sweet Stephanie can rest the right, which is getting a good workout. Gonzalez will not say die. Sweet Stephanie will say bye-bye.
Whoa!
And on that, the cycle ends. Bewildered Sweet Stephanie had no idea that Skinny Minnie was flying in from the heavens. Now she finds out who did it, so she's after blood. And there they go.
Skinny Minnie versus Sweet Stephanie. Poor Don.
Nobody pays attention to me, says the referee Don Lastra. There's a warning to Sweet Stephanie.
She's getting mighty close to that penalty pod.
Now, David talked about the rivalry between Electric Randy and Sweet Stephanie. Notice the red hair? Well, Sweet Stephanie intentionally dyed it that way just to taunt Electric Randy, who gets her nickname from her electric red hair, too. Never a dull moment in RollerGames. That's the flea, Paula Wilson, getting 2 points on both wall and jump, as does Skinny Minnie, a little 105-pound swizzle stick who, as you can see, holds her own in this brutal sport.
She sure does.
A whip from the corker, Debbie McCorkle, around Nasty Nancy for another point. And now she high hits Lauren Hollywell for still another, and she's not done yet with just seconds left in the cycle. 1 black jersey to pass. It's the flea, Paula Wilson. And as time runs out, 2 black jerseys do a tandem forward somersault. Sweet Stephanie and the flea down. Meanwhile, the ladies in red, white, and blue triumphant. They began their period trailing by 12. Now they brought their team to within 2 as you look at the family feud of the Violators.
And as the LA Gear scoreboard shows, the score is now 42-40 at the half. Let's go down now to Shelley.
How do you two feel the game is going?
At this particular moment, the way I'm feeling is the score is pretty tight. Could go either way at this moment, and we feel pretty good.
It looks pretty close.
I think the arena's hot. I think the game is hot, and I'm telling you, whoa, I don't know what's going on out here.
Listen, the bad attitudes should be skating against the Violators, not these stupid Tweety birds. What's wrong in here? What is this?
You know, I thought I had to face a real team. Instead, I get the Thunder Chickens. I got it made.
These guys could go over it all night long. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. 2 quarters to go, Chuck and David.
And tongues are wagging and fingers are pointing and cheerleaders are cheerleading.
And Animal has the Alligators waiting just in case we need them. Stay tuned.
Wally George here at Rollers Sports Central. Well, I want to tell you, folks, I'm irate. I mean, I'm irate. That's what I am. This whole alligator controversy has divided the league, and I point the finger at Ms. Georgia Haas, Skull, and Guru Drew, the unholy three. They fouled this great time-honored sport and turned it into a 3-ring circus. Joining us live from the Super Roller Dome are Guru Drew, Georgia Haas, and Skull, the 3 malcontents responsible for this outrage. You all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Ashamed of ourselves? What do we have to be ashamed of for, fellas, right? We're not ashamed, but the one that should be ashamed is this man right here, the commissioner, Mr. Williams Griffith.
I beg your pardon, madam. You were calling me by something or other. Okay, Ms. Haas, I am not ashamed, but I'll tell you what I am. I'm embarrassed and I'm disgusted. The 3 of you railroading this vote through to get these poor, dumb creatures to do your bidding, to become your foils. But you've not heard the end of it. There will be something done. In the meantime, to quote you once again, I'm not embarrassed. I am, as Wally George would say, out of here. Bye-bye, lady.
Attaboy, Commissioner.
The Gators will stay. Believe me.
You're out of here. You're out of here. Come on. Now let's go back to the Super Roller Dome.
Thank you, Wally. It's halftime at the Commissioner's Cup. T-Birds taking on the Violators. Here's a look behind the scenes at RollerGames.
Okay, stand by to roll tape, George. Stay wide in the alligator pit for me.
2.
Okay, stand by now.
And hit the music. Come on, everybody. It's time for RollerGames. Are you ready?
Anybody can skate. I mean, probably about like 20, 30 million people in this country know how to roller skate, but they can't all be RollerGames skaters.
Challenging, passion, compelling, bruises.
And you mix in rock and roll, hard bodies, high tech, a lycra spandex world, and lots of lighting. You basically have a wonderful hook for the television viewer.
So we really took roller derby, which was an incredible exhibition sport in the 50s and 60s, and updated it, upgraded it to bring it into the 1990s. There are 6 teams in the RGI. There are 5 men, 5 women on each team.
Introducing first, the world-famous World Champion T-Birds!
You know, we have the wall of death and the jetway and the jump. It was a whole new training process for us.
There's so much action here. I don't ever think in 34 years I've been involved with any sport, whether that be baseball, basketball, football, wide world of sports, the Olympics, where I covered an event or attempted to cover an event where so many things happen on the course at the same time.
You want to see what a violator does to keep you in shape?
I think a lot of sports are going to look at this and say that, hey, this may be the wave of the future. This may be the way to jazz up an event.
I mean, it's got a big track like the Indianapolis 500. It's got great rock bands like American Bandstand. It's got big alligators like, who has alligators? Wild Kingdom. There you go.
You can't describe it. I mean, you can talk about alligators, and you can talk about skating and finesse and walls of death and all of these things. But my God, if you cannot see it, there's just no way. Nobody has that great an imagination.
The championship game will be decided when the Violators and T-Birds return. Outside the Super Roller Dome, if needed, is an ambulance. And only in RollerGames would the ambulance be a Woody. T-Bird women lining up to take on the Violators for this third period of the championship game of this Commissioner's Cup Series. And the whistle snaps the women into play. The Violators lead by 2, 42-40. Jetting in the black helmet will be the Flea, Paula Wilson, and there goes the corker, Debbie McCorkle. Interesting story, born legally blind. She now has recovered sight in one eye, still sees only shapes and colors in the other, but look at her go. She is ahead of the Flea, Paula Wilson. There's Sweet Stephanie slowing down McCorkle. Both, by the way, got 2 points each on the wall and on the jump. Rear blockers trying to stop the jetters. McCorkle is squeezed between Sweet Stephanie and the Flea. Ahead of McCorkle now is Sweet Stephanie, waiting to come back, and she misses on the comeback and drops her own teammate, and the cycle ends.
She bulldozed right over her. There's a victorious Debbie McCorkle right there. The crowd loves her.
Well,
they love their T-Birds.
She is living the dream, David. At age 4, she became a T-Birds fan, and now, these years later, she not only is skating as a T-Bird, but she also is being coached by her girlhood idol, Ralphie Violators.
Well, Ralphie Violators is the idol of many players and many fans across the nation and around the world. And I'm a fan of that girl right there. That's Renee, one of my favorite cheerleaders.
46-45, the T-Birds draw to within 1. Lead jetter in the black, Nasty Nancy Wilkinson, both she and Go-Go Gonzalez get 2 on the wall of death. They also get 2 on the jet jump. Now into the pack they come. Well, Go-Go goes over one of the higher parts of the rail, dropping about 8 feet.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
that was real clever.
Nasty Nancy tried to get around Electric Randy, unable to do so. Gets dropped twice with that slashing right arm of Electric Randy. That's a legal block, by the way. The only thing you can't do is throw the point of your elbow. It's more of a shoulder block, like that. And Electric Randy, a veteran of the sport with less than 5 seconds left, freezes Nasty Nancy, denies her additional points, and the spread remains the same. Electric Randy and her T-Birds continue to trail by a single point, and there is that old rivalry that David talked about earlier, going back years, between these two fiery, combative redheads.
You're in every fight out here. I'm telling you, one more time and I send you back. No, you're in it every time. Back up. That's it for you. One more time and you're going to be out here. Oh, you missed me by that much.
That woman right there, she has a degree in rudeness, and boy, does she ever use it.
Sort of the Calamity Jane of RollerGames, but quite an athlete. She runs 4 miles a day in addition to practicing about 3 hours a day in this sport. Here are the new jetters. The lead jetter for the T-Birds, Debbie McCorkle. Behind her, the lead, Paula Wilson. 2 points per lady on both wall and jump. And now they head up into their jetpacks. And well, Debbie McCorkle was going to. She's now overboard, and Electric Randy gets hit by a couple of black jerseys. Down goes Christine Van Galder. Skinny Minnie spins out of the action. And there goes the Flea scoring points as she passes those individual T-Birds. This is going to be a good cycle for Wilson and teammates. Well, it's not going to end personally so hot as time runs out in the cycle with Electric Randy low bridging the Flea.
She deserved it. She's been a real menace tonight.
57-53, the Violators widen their lead now to 4 points. Don Lasper steps between Electric Randy and the Flea.
No pushing up here. Both of you getting a warning. I told both
Just a
of
few
you.
parting
She
words.
listens and you don't.
Here's the real superstar right there.
Did you hear Don Lasker? He said, she listens, you don't. Final cycle for the women. Awaiting this final period will be the men of the T-Birds and the Violators. Sweet Stephanie Garcia is going to get a whip from Lauren Honeywell. She's in trouble and off balance, and down she goes.
Boy, that was a tough one. I think that rail got her right in the face.
Skinny Mini Gwen Miller, meanwhile, had trouble of her own on the wall, scored no points, gets only 2. And now Sweet Stephanie, well, now she's breaking the rules. She is going the wrong way on the one-way. She needed to complete her lap around the jetway, didn't do it. So she is going to score no points in this cycle. It's all up to Skinny Mini.
That's the Violators for you. They're always breaking the rules.
A swift 3 points as she passes the pack. Can she get by Sweet Stephanie with 2, 1, and 0 left? For the 3rd time, Sweet Stephanie and the Flea collide.
Just goes to show you, it does not pay to cheat.
For the first time since early in the first period, the T-Birds lead by 3. Let's go down to the infield now, and Shelly Jamison.
I assume you two don't like each other, is that correct?
That's right. Every time we come out on the track, she's trying to
Don't listen to me, Miller. You're your stupid man. I got it with you and everybody in this organization.
We got it with you too, Stephanie. We're going to take care of you for one thing.
Sorry. I think I'll step out of this at this point. A lot of animosity on this track, and you never know what fights will develop, but that's a nasty one, so I'm getting out of the way.
Okay, Shelly, the championship and the Commissioner's Cup is going to go down to the final period. And you're watching the Figure 8 Fast Lane World of Roller Games. Sunday drivers need not apply. And now for the final period of this championship game, the T-Birds, before a sellout house, lead the Violators by only 3.
And should this game end in a tie, that means we would go into sudden death overtime, and the Gators would be used to break the tie. So let's go downstairs now and ask Animal, are the Gators ready to face sudden death?
The Alligators are ready, yes. They're standing by, and in case of a tie, they will be put out, and they're ready to go for it. You know, they won't favor any particular team or players, and that's what they're here for. That's what they've been trained for, and they're ready, yes.
So now it's for keeps. The final period of the championship game. It's up to the men. T-Birds lead by 3, so you can bet that that man, Harold Jackson, Mr. Mean, will be playing it for keeps. That is Bill Hookreed tied up in that opening lap. He's not even going to get to the jetway. Little Ralphie Valadares will. There's the Hook in trouble. 2 points and 2 points for Ralphie on the wall and the jump. Now he's trying to pass all those black jerseys and get more individual points. Can he get around Mr. Mean? He's going to try to coattail and get a whip from Stars and Stripes. He gets around Mr. Mean once. Mr. Mean catching up, misses again. Off the rail. Ralphie's not done. Watch the finesse. Even more from Mr. Mean.
This man should be in the Hall of Fame. Keep your eyes on him all season long.
1 second left. And the cycle ends as Mr. Mean goes airborne.
Let's take another look at that play as the living legend did Mr. Mean in.
A 6-point cycle it was for the T-Birds.
And Mr. Mean goes over the rail while Ralphie slides into 3rd safely.
Apparently only his pride is injured. Well, he recovers that quickly, as you can see. No points for the Hook, who struggled badly as the Violators jetter. So the T-Birds widen their lead now to 9 points, 66 to 57. New jetters, Speedy Gonzalez for the Birds, and the enforcer, Tony Trujillo, first man up the wall of death. 2 points for him, and Speedy almost got 6, but still only 2, and they both get 2 on the jump. And there is the enforcer, enforcing his own set of laws on the throat of Speedy. Big pileup, and the enforcer gets 3 quick points as he passes by those 3 opponents. Now he'll try for more. Well, but not until after punishing Speedy. And when he gets past him and gets a single point, he stops the cycle. That's why he taps his head.
And the icebox comes to his defense. Speedy Gonzalez right there on the floor.
Referee Mike Garb steps in. He'd rather be elsewhere.
I wouldn't want to mess with the box.
It was a good cycle for the Violators. They scored 8, only 4 for the T-Birds, so now the Violators trail by just 5.
Oh, he's hurt, Chuck.
New jetters as the helmets are exchanged. It'll be Dynamite Daryl Davis in the red helmet and he is trailing the killer Greg Robertson. Up they go to that 14-foot-high, 80-degree pitched wall of death. 2 points per person, 2 off the jump, but as soon as he lands, Dynamite Darrell heads for row 3. There's the killer, pointing to Mr. Mean and getting a low block, scoring a point as he passes one Stars and Stripes, gets turned around now, off balance.
What kind of play is that?
Asking for help from the enforcer, saying, straighten me up.
What in the world?
Well, he didn't ask for all of that. 2 seconds, 1, and the cycle ends.
I'll tell you, if they expect to win this game, they can't do it like that.
But again, because Dynamite Darrell had a low-scoring cycle, the Violators pull ever closer. Now, late in the final period, with the Commissioner's Cup on the line, the spread is a single solitary point. T-Birds lead it 72-71. Dynamite Darrell will remain the jetter for his T-Birds, and the enforcer is back in for the Violators.
Stations along the line, stay with us, we may run over.
2 points per person on the wall of death, 2 on the jump, and Mr. Mean low bridges Dynamite. Now he's going to try to help out the enforcer on Billy Bob Bibbas, and indeed he passes Bibbas, so that's another point. Can the enforcer get more? Under 10 seconds in the cycle.
Nice block by Ralphie.
Bye-bye to the enforcer. And that stops the cycle, and with enough time left for just one more cycle, we are at a dead heat. 76 all, thanks to the work of Dynamite Darrell and his mates.
Chuck, can you believe it? I mean, coming down to the final seconds, it can't get any closer than this one.
Now you notice there were only 5 seconds left on the clock, but the cycle started, and so it will complete its 45-second run. There is a double whip for the top skater, Mr. Mean. Harold Jackson tries to get 6, cannot. Behind him is Ralphie, who also gets 2. They get 2 on the jump. That means that in the final seconds, it is at this moment a dead heat.
Go for it, Ralphie!
Ralphie trying to pass. So is Mr. Mean. Neither man could do it. Clock running down. Good defense by the rear blockers. We're seconds away from a dead heat.
Come on, get that point.
Again, Mr. Mean can't pass, but neither can Ralphie. Crowd roaring. 4 seconds, 3, 2, and nobody's going to pass, and we are going to finish this championship game.
Bring out the Gators. We're going into sudden death, Chuck.
Tied at 80.
Unbelievable! It could be devastating! 80-80!
You've never seen a sudden death overtime like you're about to see. Bring on the Gators! Bring on the Gators! RollerGames continues after this.
And so the game has ended in an 80-all tie. Sudden death will determine which team gets this Commissioner's Cup. Sudden death involves the controversial element of the Alligators.
Well, Chuck, we're bringing a new meaning to the term sudden death because, I'll tell you, it could be devastating if one of those players gets in that alligator pit. The whole league is split on this issue. Half the league wants the pit, half of it doesn't. Basically, the bad guys want it, the good guys do not. And it's been an ongoing controversy. But I'm scared to death to see what happens when one of these team's specialty players, the Gator skaters, falls into the pit. It could be absolutely devastating.
And right on cue, here come the Gators.
Roller Gator gonna get you back.
are about to see something you have never seen in professional sports. Here they come, the Gator Skaters.
And so, with the T-Birds and Violators tied at 80 at the end of regulation, here very simply are the two rules of sudden death overtime. Specially designated Gator skaters can win it for their team in one of two ways: by simply winning a 6-lap sprint, or by tossing the other team's Gator skater into the pit. David Sams has gone down to trackside.
Chuck, it's unbelievable down here. Look at those Gators. There are 4 of them in the pits. There are 3 7-footers and 1 big 10-footer known as Roller Gator. There he is right there. Look at those teeth.
Both teams have been cleared to the outside of the track. They are lining the rail, cheering on their designated Gator skaters, and here we go in sudden death. Each skater wearing the ceremonial sudden death hood. We don't know how they're going to play it, but they're now showing us that rather than win the lap, they're going to try to wrestle each other over that rail and into the pit. On the first lap, neither seems to be getting any leverage, so no, they'll clear out and try a second lap. T-Bird twins looking on. And again, as they approach the pit, the wrestling begins. Down goes the T-Bird Gator skater.
Now the Violators got him by the shirt. He's got him up to the rail. He's pulling him up. Oh, the T-Bird went in. Fight that Gator. Get away from him. It could be devastating. Get that man out of the pit. I can't believe what we're witnessing here tonight. Chuck, you know, I saw the skull distract that T-Bird skater. I believe that these Violators have cheated.
But they have won in sudden death overtime.
Come on, get out of there, buddy.
A victory lap for the Violator, a roll over the top, apparently uninjured for the T-Bird Gator skater. The Commissioner's Cup goes to the team in black. Here's David.
Tough break down there tonight.
Especially as far as I'm concerned, alligators and America will see what's going to happen.
This whole alligator thing is just ridiculous, David. Who ever heard of a sports competition being decided with an animal? It's ridiculous. I've heard from the ASPCA. I hear Bob Barker's even trying to get in touch with us. The whole thing got snuck through by the likes of a Skull and a Haas and those people, and even Lopez got sucked into the thing. This is terrible.
Obviously, we'll see these two teams at it again. Back to you, Chuck.
All right, David, and given what you told us about Skull distracting the T-Bird Gator skater, we have perhaps just seen a classic definition of skullduggery. But to the victor go the spoils, and in the middle of that chanting group lies the Commissioner's Cup. The Violators have prevailed, taking this championship series, but the slate is now clean. With the cut decided, we begin next week a fresh new series that will bring together once again, and in the ensuing weeks, the 6 teams of RollerGames. And perhaps to their benefit, the T-Birds will be able to hop quickly back into the saddle. Next week, they will be taking on Bad Attitude. A quick chance for redemption after today's painful defeat.
I want rock.
Rock.
And